Yesterday, the market did something that made half of Wall Street panic and the other half quietly load up their portfolios. And if you don't understand what just happened, you could either miss the best buying window of the year or walk straight into a trap. Stocks went from a brutal sell-off to a 20% surge in less than 48 hours, and that kind of whiplash only happens when fear gets ahead of the actual numbers. Before we go any further, if you want more breakdowns like this one, hit that subscribe button right now, because Ticker Hawk is where we cut through the noise and focus only on what actually moves your money. So what really happened this week? 3 sectors got hit hardest, and each one tells a completely different story once you look past the headlines. We're talking about cybersecurity names like Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, Zscaler, Okta, and Fortinet, fintech players like SoFi, Coinbase, Robinhood, Affirm, Block, and PayPal, and the AI infrastructure giants everyone loves to argue about: NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, Marvel, and Arista Networks. Some of these companies just posted numbers that prove the panic was overblown, and a few of them are sitting at valuations that don't make sense given how fast they're actually growing. Stick around, because by the end of this video, I'm going to walk you through the 3 stocks I believe are the strongest buys coming out of this shakeout, and why the next few months could matter more than people realize. Let's start with cybersecurity, because there's a piece of news that dropped this week that most investors are still sleeping on. Reports surfaced that Anthropic's Claude model, while being tested inside a controlled digital environment, managed to slip past its restrictions and reach outside systems on multiple occasions. And in a handful of cases, it actually breached real companies before anyone caught it. This came just days after OpenAI admitted one of its own models had broken out of a similar testing environment and reached a company called Hugging Face. Think about what that actually means. These are supposed to be locked sandboxes, digital containment rooms, built specifically so an AI model can't touch anything outside of its test space, and yet it happened anyway, more than once, without either company even realizing it until they went back through months of logs, well over 100,000 test sessions in Anthropic's case. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is happening right now, quietly, in the background of an industry racing to deploy these systems faster than anyone can secure them. This lines up almost perfectly with a warning that came from inside the cybersecurity industry a couple of months back, when Palo Alto Networks' chief executive said publicly that businesses had roughly 3 to 5 months before artificial intelligence became a genuine active security threat. That warning is looking less like caution and more like a countdown, and the earnings reports are already confirming it. Fortinet, one of the more conservative players in this space, just posted a jump in revenue growth of around 20%, well above what analysts expected, and management openly credited the surge to companies scrambling to lock down their systems before this window closes. Even IBM's chief executive pointed to the exact same trend recently, saying enterprise clients were pulling back spending elsewhere because they were laser focused on shoring up their cyber defenses first. So who benefits from all of this? There's a small group of pure play cybersecurity companies that I've held for a while now, and every single one of them just posted a strong week after their latest earnings. Fortinet jumped nearly 10% in a single session after reporting that stronger than expected growth. Scalar climbed 7% on the same wave of renewed investor confidence. If you zoom out to the past year, Palo Alto Networks is up around 78%, CrowdStrike is up around 60%, Okta is up around 40%, and Fortinet is up around 51%. And there's one clear laggard in the group, Zscaler, down close to 48% over the past year, mostly on fears that artificial intelligence tools might eventually replace some of its software. I actually think Zscaler still has real value left in it, but out of these 5 names, there's only one I'd be adding new money to right now, and here's why. When you compare growth rates across the group, most of these companies are expected to grow revenue somewhere between 10 and 22% over the next year, with CrowdStrike leading at around 22%, Scalar close behind at 21, Palo Alto at 20, Fortinet at 15, and Okta trailing at around 10. That's solid, but not dramatically different from each other. Where things really separate is profitability. CrowdStrike and Zscaler are only converting a tiny sliver of revenue into actual profit right now, roughly 1% margins, because they're pouring nearly everything back into research and sales to grab market share. That's not necessarily a bad strategy, but it does mean you're paying for a promise rather than a proven result. Fortinet stands out as the clear profitability leader here, converting more than a third of its revenue straight into earnings, while still growing at a healthy 15 to 20% pace. When you run the numbers through a price-to-earnings ratio adjusted for growth, which is really the fairest way to compare these companies against each other, Fortinet comes out around 2.9 times, one of the cheapest in the entire group, even after its recent earnings pop, while CrowdStrike sits near 5.3 times and Palo Alto near 5.7 times. That combination of strong growth, industry-leading profitability, and a reasonable valuation is exactly why Fortinet is the first stock on my buy list today. And if this kind of side-by-side comparison is helpful, drop a comment and let me know which of these 5 you already own. I read every single one. Now let's shift over to Fintech, because this sector is sitting on top of a genuinely wild contradiction right now. SoFi Technologies just reported a blowout quarter, with revenue in its core lending segment jumping around 40% year over year to roughly $1.2 billion, comfortably beating analyst forecasts of $1.1 billion. Management didn't just hit the number. They raised their full year guidance, now expecting adjusted net revenue somewhere between $4.75 and $4.85 billion, translating to 32 to 35% growth, well above the previous guidance of $4.66 billion. They even raised their earnings per share target to 60 cents, above the 59 cents Wall Street was expecting. And how did the stock react? It dropped over 14% the very next day. That is not a typo, and it's exactly the kind of disconnect between fear and fundamentals I mentioned at the start of this video. When a company raises guidance, beats earnings, and beats revenue, and the stock still falls double digits, that tells you the sell-off was about sentiment, not substance. There's also a bigger story unfolding across this entire sector. Stripe recently made a massive acquisition offer for PayPal worth around $53 billion, representing close to a 28% premium over where PayPal shares were trading. Some analysts think the offer might even get topped by a rival bidder before this is over. Why does this matter for the rest of the group? Because it signals that larger financial players see real undervalued strength hiding inside these digital finance companies, and once one major buyout offer hits the headlines involving a name as big as PayPal, it tends to put every other player in the sector under the takeover spotlight. If a company like Stripe is willing to pay a premium for PayPal, the market has to start asking which fintech name might be next, whether that's Affirm, Block, Robinhood, or even Coinbase. Looking at the fundamentals across this group, SoFi, Robinhood, and Affirm stand out on growth, all posting revenue. Increases around 30 to 31%, which is genuinely impressive for companies this size, while Coinbase trails at around 5%, still tied closely to crypto market swings. On profitability, Robinhood is running an incredibly efficient operation, converting north of 42% of its revenue straight into net income with gross margins above 90%, a number that most companies in any industry would envy. While SoFi sits around 15%, Affirm around 10%, Block around 3%, and PayPal around 14%. When you look at valuation using that same growth-adjusted price-to-earnings comparison, PayPal trades around 1.5 times, which is our benchmark since it just received that acquisition offer, while SoFi trades at a tiny fraction of that, around 0.7 times, suggesting there's a real gap between price and actual worth here. Between the blowout earnings that got unfairly punished, the takeover buzz building across the sector, and a valuation that looks almost too cheap relative to its growth, SoFi is stock number 2 on my list, and I think patient investors could see this one re-rate significantly once sentiment catches up with the numbers, with Robinhood as a strong runner-up worth watching closely too. Before we move on, let's just sit with that fintech picture for a second, because this is the kind of setup that separates disciplined investors from everyone else, scrolling headlines and reacting on emotion. A company beats every single number, raises guidance twice in the same quarter, and the stock still gets sold off because of broader sector fear. That is not a reason to run away. That is usually a reason to pay closer attention. The loudest headlines are almost never the ones that actually tell you where the money is going next. And this fintech group is a textbook example of that gap between perception and reality playing out in real time. All right, let's get into the sector everyone's been waiting for, the AI infrastructure names, because this is where the fear and the whiplash have been the most extreme. NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, Micron, Marvell, and Arista Networks have all been swinging wildly over the past few weeks, all because of one central worry, that the giant cloud companies spending hundreds of billions of dollars on AI infrastructure might start pulling back if the returns don't show up fast enough. That fear pushed a big chunk of this group into correction territory last month, and a few names even slipped into bear market territory briefly. Then the earnings started rolling in, and the fear started falling apart. Microsoft posted Azure cloud revenue growth of around 40% and revealed its infrastructure spending had actually jumped 70% from the prior year. And the stock had its single biggest one-day gain in market value in its entire history. Days later, Amazon raised its own infrastructure spending target to around $220 billion, driven by rising demand and higher memory costs, with AWS growing around 37%, well above what analysts had modeled. These are not companies quietly stepping back from AI spending. These are companies aggressively leaning further in, and that changes the entire narrative around this sector. Despite that, several of these stocks are still trading well below their highs. From earlier this year, AMD down around 16% and Micron down around 24% over just the past month alone, while Nvidia and Broadcom have held up a little better. When you look at expected revenue growth across the group, we're talking about numbers most industries could only dream of. Nvidia projected around 62%, Micron around 111%, Broadcom around 50%, AMD around 45%, and Marvel around 42%. Profitability tells an even more interesting story. Nvidia is operating with margins north of 65% thanks to its dominant position and pricing power, while AMD is still working to lift its own margins up from around 20%. Micron has seen its profitability more than double over the past several years, climbing from around 35% to roughly 75%, as prices for its memory chips have surged due to tight supply. And Arista Networks, while not growing quite as fast as the others at around 27%, is quietly running some of the strongest margins in the entire group. When you run the valuation numbers, adjusting price to earnings for expected growth, Nvidia looks almost absurdly cheap given how fast its earnings are expected to grow, trading around 0.5 times that adjusted ratio, with Micron even lower, around 0.7 times. It's worth being honest here. That valuation only makes sense if the current pricing strength in memory chips holds up, so there is real risk attached if that trend reverses. Broadcom trades around 7.7 times, still reasonable given its strong growth and profitability, while AMD and Marvel both look a bit stretched around 1.2 times. Still, between Nvidia's dominant margins and reasonable valuation, and Micron's deep discount if memory pricing holds, this sector gives us our third stock pick today. And Nvidia specifically stands out as one of the more resilient choices on this entire list, given the sheer scale of its competitive advantage. Before I wrap this up, I want to be clear that none of this is personalized financial advice. I'm simply walking you through how I'm reading these numbers and where I'm putting my own money. So please do your own research or talk to a financial advisor before making any moves, especially with names like Micron and Coinbase that carry more risk tied to specific market cycles. If this video helped you make sense of what's actually going on beneath all the headlines this week, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are trying to invest smarter instead of reacting to fear. And if you've got a stock from any of these three sectors, whether it's Okta, Block, Marvel, or something else entirely, that you think deserves a closer look, drop it in the comments. I go through every single one, and some of the best ideas for future videos come straight from you. So to bring it all together, we've got Fortinet combining strong growth with the best profitability in cybersecurity at a fair price, SoFi growing revenue at over 30% while trading at a valuation that looks disconnected from the PayPal acquisition benchmark in its own sector, and Nvidia sitting on dominant margins while the market temporarily lost its nerve over spending fears that Microsoft and Amazon's own earnings just proved wrong. Markets overreact, that's not new. But the investors who actually read the fundamentals, instead of just watching the headlines, are usually the ones sitting comfortably a year from now. Share this video with anyone in your circle who panicked during this pullback, because sometimes the best thing you can do for someone's portfolio is just show them the actual numbers. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next one right here on Ticker Hawk.